Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. So I had Whitney? What's Whitney's?
Whitney Webb.
Whitney Webb. I like to call her Whitey. Whitney Webb on the show.
The GOAT.
Yeah, and I asked her. I'm like, well, obviously, somebody inside the intelligence community wants to kill Donald Trump. There's a faction of the establishment want to kill him because they can't control him, and I think it also has to do with the Mossad in Israel and Bibi, because I found a recent couple of recordings where he's blaming Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel for us not having a peace deal in Israel-Palestine. Yep. He's blaming Israel, which that's exactly where the blame lies, and they can't have that. And so my theory is that's why Trump speaks so over the top pro-Israel, because he knows he's going to force a deal when he's president, and they don't want him to be president because they know he knows. And again, he didn't come up through the regular politics, so he wasn't vetted by the CIA. He wasn't vetted by the intelligence community or the donor community. In fact, he ran against all that. And so would you agree that he, as weird as it sounds, that he's somehow on the outs with that group somehow, even though he's a billionaire?
I've been having to come to grips with the exact same realization lately. And the closer you study Trump, the more you realize that just what you're saying seems to be true, where he talks a big talk on Israel, but he also like gives the cold shoulder to Netanyahu a few times. He has weird interactions. He's definitely playing his own game on that. And you're right that he had his own money. He didn't have to get their money to get into the presidency the first time. And that's why all this lawfare was so effective, is because this time around the Adelsons are donating to him. Like there's a lot of like pro-Israel money that's coming into his campaign this time around because he had to spend so much money defending himself. And when you look at the setup that seems to have been in place for had the assassination been successful, they were ready to blame Iran for the shooting. They had some connections lined up with the shooter of like he had communications or like the bank accounts or something. And Bibi just happened to have a speech scheduled for like the next week. And Bibi in that speech still went into Congress and blamed Iran for the attempted assassination, even though X had been like light years ahead of it and had already kind of broken that wide open. And so from where I'm sitting, it kind of looks like the plan, and this is totally speculation, but it looks like the plan was to have Trump get shot in the head on live TV because they were live streaming it. And then for all of that anger to be directed towards Iran with kind of like a planted story all set up. And Iran is the last country on the clean break reports list of Iraq, Syria, and Iran that needs to be destabilized and destroyed in order for Israel to have supremacy in the region. And they've been trying to start war with Iran for quite some time. Mm-hmm.
So that was just like General Wesley Clark in 2008, I think, on Democracy Now! He talked about when he went into the Pentagon after 9/11, and someone in intelligence gave him a piece of paper that had a list of the 7 countries that the Pentagon and the deep state wanted to invade in 5 years. It was 7. It was Libya, Somalia. It was Iraq, Iran, Lebanon. Now I'm missing 2 of them, but anyway, they've done all of them except for Lebanon and Iran. So,
except that now who's bombing Lebanon
and now
assassinating on Iran soil,
and now Israel's doing assassinations in Iran. They tried to blame Trump's assassination on Iran, and now Israel's bombing Lebanon. Isn't it? It's amazing how Israel could be committing a genocide, bombing 3 or 4 different countries at once, and somehow they're the victim.
Yeah, for real.
That is amazing.
Yeah. They're openly wearing patches now that show Greater Israel, like the expanded borders of Israel, just on the shoulders of IDF soldiers. Like, not suspicious at all. Had they succeeded, had Trump got, and allegedly, had someone succeeded, we probably would have wound up with Nikki Haley running against Kamala Harris, 2 warhawk establishment candidates that were going to take us straight into World War III.
So have you seen anybody else besides you and me making this kind of observation that, hey, wait a minute, That wasn't some 20. That wasn't some lone nut that was allowed to breach a secured area, be viewed 3 different times by 3 different Secret Service snipers an hour ahead of time, and then do nothing. I love how they reported it. Yeah, we saw him with a scope, and then he disappeared.
Yeah.
What is he? Chris Angel mind freak disappeared? You mean, or he just walked around a corner and then you guys stopped following him? You mean like that kind of disappeared? Or he walked up a ladder and got on the roof? You mean that kind of disappeared?
Awfully convenient.
Yeah. So it's obvious.
I do see other people reporting on it, but everyone sort of has their own take or their own goal. There is a whole side of X that's doing some really cool investigative reporting. And I think a few people are getting a little too dogmatic about, like, it must be the water tower, or that's all lies, you're an idiot. It must be the window, or whatever it is. I just, keep my eyes on all theories, because it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Right?
We
People
know
get so attached to ideas emotionally as though they are the ideas. It's like, dude, it's just an idea. Just watch them all happen. Figure it out.
It doesn't really matter what the exact mechanism was they used. It's obvious that this came down from the Department of Homeland Security in Mayorkas, and that this was a conspiracy to assassinate the president. And there's a reason. She said, "Oh, we couldn't have." Remember the head of Secret Service? Oh, just watch her testimony, and she's covering up the whole thing. Oh, well, why didn't you have a sniper on that building? Because there was security concerns. There was a slope. Well, the slope of the building, of the roof that the snipers shot that guy from, was way more slopey than so that doesn't. So now I know you're lying, and so why would you lie? And
because she's got a golden parachute promised to her after she goes and does that humiliation ritual.
100%. They needed someone to go take the bullet, for lack of a better metaphor, in front of Congress, and then as soon as she did, she resigns and she's taken care of for the rest of her life. Just like the FBI agent who was caught on his. You see that, right? Have you seen that story where then nobody's talking about it, where they just paid he got caught on government phones saying that we're going to stop Donald Trump from becoming president. The guy who's in charge of investigating Donald Trump, Crossfire Hurricane, he's the one saying we're not going to allow him to become president. We're going to stop it, and this is our insurance policy. Those texts get revealed. He then sues the Justice Department for revealing his private texts, which they weren't private because they're on government phones. He's going to lose that case. The Biden Justice Department awards him $1.2 million. And
that's not the only example of such a thing, too. There's like countless examples of people just people that should be neutral, just openly admitting to trying to undermine Trump, like left and right. And it just blows my mind that you don't have to like Trump to notice that this is openly corrupt.
Right.
This is like dictatorship stuff.
17 times the FBI lied to the FISA court so they could get a tap on Donald Trump's phone and his entire campaign, which they got. Yep. And again, that's also just so it doesn't bother anybody. It doesn't matter if you like or dislike Donald Trump. It matters that the FBI will take it upon themselves to undermine a presidency and just lie and create conspiracy theory. Russiagate, the dumbest conspiracy, most easily debunked conspiracy theory in the world, and people still believe it. So I haven't seen anybody else talk about how, well, obviously the deep state doesn't like Donald Trump. There is a glitch in the matrix of the uniparty, and Donald Trump is that glitch, right?
Yep. I think it is a rare perspective to bring that you and I do go on, where I think a lot of people are pro-Trump in an ideological way, but I don't think a lot of people get there from this sort of like follow the money, like take apart, like just honest, like look at everything perspective that allows you to sort of unpack the potential conspiracies and whatever's happening in a slightly more just logical and approachable way that I think speaks to just a lot of people on all sides. And it's refreshing. Like we just need more non-egotistical logic in the middle, just kind of trying to figure out what's going on, like as journalism should be. Because these days most people are doing it ideologically, and they're like right aligned and they're trying to expose the left, or vice versa, and that is not what we need. We need just facts.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.